let's talk about naming amines. My goal at the end of this video is for you to be able to name any amine, given its systemic name, shown here in red, or structural formula, shown here in black. These are just some examples that I will be teaching you in this video, like the condensed structures here up top, and here it's just a ball and stick model. But first, what are amines? Amines are organic compounds that contain one or more organic groups bonded to a nitrogen. Here is an overview of the three different classified amines. The primary amine only has one organic group attached to the amine nitrogen. The secondary amine has two organic groups attached, and the tertiary amine has three organic groups. The systematic method that we will be using for naming amines is based on the hydrocarbon naming method. The first step to naming amines is to find and name the parent chain. To name primary, secondary, and tertiary amines, we need to first look for the parent chain, which is the longest chain of carbons that is attached to the amine nitrogen. Then we're going to assign the position number to the parent chains with position number 1 at the carbon at the end near the point of attachment of the nitrogen. So with this example, we see that this will be our longest chain of carbons, which is our parent chain, because it is attached to the amine nitrogen. We are going to make this carbon number 1 because it is at the end nearest the point of attachment of the nitrogen. So with this amine number 1, we're going to make this 2, 3, 4, and carbon number 5. Here is another example, but what's different about this is the nitrogen is bonded to carbon number 2 instead of carbon number 1. Now, for you to understand why this you wouldn't start numbering this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the reason is because we want the carbon to be at the end nearest the amine nitrogen. Would it make sense for it to be carbon number 4 or carbon number 2? It makes sense for it to be carbon number 2 because it's a smaller number and it's a closer number than 4. Back to the first example, now that we have found the parent chain and gave position number to the carbon atoms, now we can name the parent chain. In this example, there are 5 carbons in the parent chain. We will start with the alkane name that corresponds with the number of carbon atoms in the parent chain, which is 5 in this case. So 5 is pentane. We will drop the E in the alkane name pentane and add amine at the end of the name. But since there is more than 2 carbons in the parent chain, we need to include the position number of the carbon bonded to the nitrogen in the parent chain name. For this example, the nitrogen is bonded to carbon number 1, so 1 is used as a prefix to the parent chain name. So the amine name for this example is 1-pentanamine. For the secondary and tertiary amines, the non-parent chain R groups that are attached to the nitrogen are named as substituents. This example shows a secondary amine and the R group circled in red because it is attached to the nitrogen instead of the parent chain. You will write the letter N in front of the R group substituent name instead of the position number because we want to indicate that the R group is attached to the nitrogen and not the parent chain. So in this example, the R group is methyl, so we write in front of the amine name N-methyl-1-propanamine. Now that we understand how to name amines, let's talk about how amines affect us in the world and where they came from. Amines occur in plants. Many naturally occurring amines are physiologically active and toxic in high doses. For instance, caffeine. Caffeine comes from coffee plants. Many of us in the world drink caffeine all the time, but wouldn't you want to know what amine caffeine comes from? It comes from alkaloids, and alkaloids is an example of caffeine. Most alkaloids are usually bitter tasting, like coffee. Caffeine is a stimulant that is produced in high concentrations by coffee plants and also found in seeds, leaves, nuts, and berries of other plants. Other alkaloids are used as sleeping inducers, the creation of euphoria, and painkillers like morphine, which is used to treat severe pain. To conclude this tutorial on how to name amines, I want you to try it on your own. In this practice problem, write the systemic name for the amine shown here. Click pause and work on the problem.